Hello, listeners, and welcome to Teachers Have Issues. Yes, I am your host, LanatheEducator. If you're a first-time listener on this channel, welcome. Here we explore the latest educational trends, tackle pressing issues facing the education sector, like today's episode, conduct insightful interviews with people making a difference, and share stories of triumph and innovation from classrooms around the globe. Today, we will be talking about the revised CSEC English A syllabus that's rolling out for exams in May, June 2027. So whether you're a student, a teacher, a parent, this episode will help you understand, most importantly, the modular structure, the SBA requirements, and what it all means for your academic journey. So the CSEC English A exam in this case, structure for the 2025 revision of the syllabus, introduces some meaningful shifts that are designed to reflect more authentic assessment and digital age literacy. So we're going to break this down in this episode, and I know we're going to get right into what you're most concerned about, which is the modular pathway, but just give me a moment to mention the linear pathway. So, and these are terminologies we will, I guess, be using more and more as we move forward. So the updated structure, the exam structure for the CSEC English A exam 2025 has two assessment pathways. We know the linear exam. It is what most of us would have done. It is what students at the time of this episode are doing and will be doing in January next year, June next year. That's the linear pathway, which is you sit the full exam in one sitting as we have traditionally done, right? You go in, you do your paper one, you do your paper two, you do your SBA from before, and you do that on one day. That will fit in with the CXE timetable, and you wait for your results. And you can see my video on students waiting on results, exam time, when I did my All About August review. So I will get to the point that really interests us, which is the modular pathway, which will be new to and for teachers and students alike. So I'll get to the point. The real thing that interests us, which is the modular pathway, which will be new to and new for teachers and students alike. The modular pathway is where students will complete the exam in stages with the option to reuse the SBA or the school-based assessment scores across the sitting of the modular assessment. This modular option offers flexibility for learners who need more time or support, especially helpful in communities where you may have adults who also want to come back and sit the exam. So instead of sitting the full exam all at once, which is the linear pathway, right? Students, and this can be students in school at 16 years or even adult students or just the candidate, can now complete the exam in stages, which are now being called modules. And each module focuses on a specific skill area and can be taken separately. So you have 4 modules that will be examined. And each of these modules have a focus area and a skills or a variety of skills that will be tested. So the 4 modules are comprehension, informative discourse, literary discourse, and persuasive discourse. It very much mirrors exams we have seen before from CXE and some of our current exam, of course. So in your comprehension, the focus area will be reading and interpreting text, and the skills that will be tested there will be the main ideas, tone, bias, multimodal literacy, things like that. The next module will be the informative discourse, where the focus area will be writing factual content. So this will be like emails, report, notices, for clarity and structure, which very much mirrors our section B, our current section B, the expository type of writing. And then you have the next module, which will be literary discourse, where you have analyzing literary text being the focus area. And the skills being tested there will be looking at themes, the author's crafts, or emotional impact. And the 4th module will be persuasive discourse, which very much mirrors and is familiar to what we know in the current exam, that's section D, argumentative writing. So this focus area for persuasive discourse will be argument and influence. And the skills tested here will be ads, opinion pieces, things like rhetorical strategies. So each module, which is the significant change, now has its own exam paper. And students can choose when to sit each one within the exam cycle. So this is one of the major changes that has taken place. So how is this going to be tested? So each module, as I said, is going to be assessed independently with its own written paper. Students can retake individual modules if needed without redoing the entire exam. But the school-based assessment score can be carried forward across the various sittings as long as it is valid. So, and then, as usual, the final certification is awarded once all the 4 modules and the SBA are successfully completed. So why does all of this matter, right? This modular structure really matters for 3 reasons mainly: because of the flexible pacing, because of the focus preparation, and because of the strategic planning that it allows. So in the flexible pacing, CXC is really making it ideal for students with learning differences who might have personal challenges or those just re-entering education. And in terms of the focus preparation, it allows students to target one skill area at a time, which is great for tutoring and mentorship programs. And then you have the strategic planning aspect, which encourages long-term learning rather than just the cramming. So that's the modular structure in a nutshell. So this is the structure of the exam. In terms of the revised paper format now, you still have a paper 1, a paper 2, and a school-based assessment, the SBA. So in the paper 1, as usual, it's a multiple choice paper, and it is still testing grammar, vocabulary, and comprehension, but it now includes multimodal text. So there will be visuals, social media posts, and infographics in the paper 1 examination paper. And this paper really focuses more on critical literacy, not just the surface level understanding. Paper 2, which is the written response, it's organized similarly as our current paper 2, around 4 discourse types. But in this case, we have the comprehension, which is coming back in its form that some of us of a particular generation might remember. But these comprehension excerpts will focus on speeches and blogs and visual text, so kind of new content to match our students in modern times. And then you have your informative writing, which are the emails, the reports, and the digital formats, which is similar to some of what is currently being done in the linear model. Then you have the literary discourse, which focuses on interpretation of excerpts with emphasis on the author's craft. So this might be a bit new for many people teaching at the CSEC level. But the next discourse type, which is persuasive writing, is quite familiar to anyone teaching at the upper school CSEC level, which focuses on ads, opinion pieces, and media analysis. In this area, students must demonstrate awareness of the audience, of the tone, and of the purpose. So very much preparing students so when they encounter that communication studies paper, that communication studies content that they will encounter if they go on to pursue CAPE studies. And then you have the school-based assessment, which remains 21% of the final grade. It now requires clear documentation of the research process. This still remains the peer collaboration and reflection, and there's integration of community or real-world themes, which would be perfect for mentorship and outreach. And look out in upcoming episodes for the breakdown of the changes that are to take place with the SB with this new exam. So this new structure is really a golden opportunity to help students connect to classroom learning in terms of real-world communication. So the modular pathway is really the revised CSEC pathway that we are going to be using in the syllabus for many of the students, which is going to be rolling out for exams in 2027. And that means students now in 2025, which will be across the Caribbean region, the Form 3s, especially in the English literature aspect, must be preparing for that exam in 2027 if they're going to be doing this new structure of the exam. So that is of interest to teachers and educators everywhere. The modular pathway has now become an option of sitting the CXC body, the examination body, CSEC exam. The linear pathway, which is the one we know, which you might call a traditional pathway, your paper 1, your paper 2, and you do your exam as a one-off on a one-day, is still going to be in existence. And students can now complete this kind of exam now in stages, which is about the different skills that I mentioned. So just to basically recap, it's going to be tested. Each module is going to be assessed independently with its own written paper. Students can retake individual modules if needed without redoing the entire exam. The SBA score can be carried forward across sittings as long as it is valid, and final certification is awarded once all 4 modules are successfully completed. Let me talk a bit now about the new revised syllabus rollout, right, which is effective from June 2027. And as I said, it is important for us currently because the current Form 3s, those 14-year-olds, mainly 15-year-olds, will have to be preparing for this exam in 2 years. So this means students who are taught under the current syllabus, which is starting up to mid-2025, will sit the exams under the existing syllabus, right? So these students who are currently in Form 5 will be sitting the existing exam under the existing syllabus conditions. But from September 2025 moving onwards, classes who are preparing for exam in the future will need to adopt the newly revised syllabus, which will be the basis for the future examinations, right? From late 2026 into 2027 onwards. For the majority of 2025, the exams continue to follow the existing syllabus, which is referred to as CXE01/G and /SYLL 16. And that was revised in 2015 and amended in 2017. So key features of the current syllabus, and the current syllabus covers the areas of English A, which is English language, and English B, which is English literature. The English A aspect, or the English language aspect, focuses on language skills, understanding and expression in both oral and written form, while the English B, or the English literature, emphasizes the literary appreciation, which explores drama, poetry, and prose fiction. And this syllabus also includes the SBA component for internal evaluation, right? This is done in school with teachers. And of course, an upcoming video will also cover the changes with respect to the prescribed text for 2023 and 2027 across the literary genres. So what is examined in 2025? So the implementation date up to mid-2025 will be the current syllabus in effect. Is the exam examined in 2025? Yes, this is the syllabus that we are using in 2025. September, which we are in now, 2025 onward, which is the implementation date, the syllabus in effect will be the new revised syllabus, right? And no, it is not likely to be examined in 2025 onward. So the bottom line is that the 2025 exams, both May and June, will use the current CSEC syllabus, and a revised syllabus will only begin teaching from this month, affecting students who will sit the exams in 2026 and beyond. Check out part 2, where all your questions concerning the new CSEC English A syllabus will be answered. Remember, you empower minds and you ignite curiosity.